right. Well, 2024 is really going to be a big year for privacy, most notably because this is believed to be the year that cookies will actually be deprecated. And so with that, we can expect three key trends. The first is we're going to see more states enacting privacy law, but with no federal regulation in sight. We're going to see more change toward targeting at a broader scale, supported with AI. And the third is that our future with measurement really is going to be modeled. And so that first trend, we're seeing a lot of privacy issues in the country. A lot of this is really stemming from consumer pressure to have more control over their personal data. And even recent surveys have showed that 80% of consumers would likely be in favor of a federal regulated law that protects data and privacy. But at this point, there is really no such thing in sight. And so we are looking at a state-by-state approach to consumer privacy. And so over the last few years, the years before, the years before this year, we've seen 5 different states enact their own privacy laws. And this includes California, Virginia, Colorado, Connecticut, and Utah. This year and over the next 2 years, we'll see 7 more laws come into effect. And so this year, we'll see Texas, Oregon, and Montana. The following year, Delaware, Iowa, and Tennessee. And then by 2026, which this will be our 12th state law, we'll have Indiana as well. But really what we've seen over all these different state laws, California is still the first one, is still the strictest of all the state laws, and the only one where we've really begun to see publishers and vendors react and change their privacy policies in response to protect themselves. And so example here is with Google. And so Google has officially changed their business status from service provider to third party. And what that means in legal terms is that they are looking to pass the legal obligation of those California privacy laws onto you as the advertiser, which is not great. And so they're important things, our clients, and so everyone on this line who's in California probably already heard us provide information here. But the things to think about if you are running in California is one, like, are you running media with Google, which I would say most clients are in search, YouTube, or display and video 360, which is Google's DSP. Are you running media in California? And then the most important part is within Google in California, are you leveraging CRM, first-party data audiences, or retargeting strategies? Those are the 2 strategies that are most impacted by this change. And so if you kind of qualify here, the next real thing is to kind of get legal guidance on how your business is affected by CCPA and CPRA. So we cannot really provide that legal counsel, but we can support you from the media execution. But this is where you will want to understand if your business is subject to these laws, because not all are. There are very specific terms of how you are or are not subject to it. If you are subject to it, that you need to be compliant with those laws. And if for any reason you are not, you need to find ways to address that compliance. And so if you are fully compliant, you can still use first-party data and retargeting strategies. If you're not so sure, it might be best to avoid those specific 2 strategies in the state of California. So our next big trend is that targeting will broaden, and this is very much driven by that cookie change that we've been talking about. So this does appear to be the year, as Google has already taken some steps to kind of ensure we move forward. And so this month, they deprecated cookies on 1% of all browsers on Chrome, which was 30 million users. So really kind of starting to test and see what happens with that cookie loss. They've announced they expect August to be their official date of deprecation, but we'll kind of keep a close eye on if that goal date does move. And this really does become the point of loss of cookies just because of how dominant Chrome is. It is 52% of all US browsers, and it really is the last big browser to fall, where Safari and Firefox already had restricted cookies back in 2019. But the important thing to remember with cookies, we get very focused on cookies, it is only one of the identifiers. It is the most predominant, but is only one of the identifiers we use in our advertising. And cookies are based on the web, meaning that they are in the browser experience on your computer or your mobile phone. We also, another key identifier, and that we've already experienced key loss in, so we have a lot to learn from, is in the app environment. So this is mobile ad IDs, and our critical point of loss actually happened in 2021, where iOS, which Apple's operating system represents 57% of all US phones, moved to an opt-in system for using a user's mobile ad ID. And so this was kind of our critical point of change, with Android now following suit as well later this year at the same time as that cookie change. And what all this means is that we've lost kind of that mobile ad ID in the app world, or we're mostly losing it, cookies in the web world, and it's us as an industry shifting toward more other digital identifiers, which some of those identifiers are actually stronger. But the key thing is we are going to lose scale in identifiers, which will ultimately push to this broadening of targeting, which is that key trend. And the reason we kind of are saying this is the key trend is because we've seen it before. So we've learned a lot from what we saw with those iOS changes back in 2021. This was mostly isolated to the social sphere because most of social media is happening in an app environment. So they were hit the worst by those changes in 2021. And the key three things that we saw from that change that we can expect again is that we will expect reduced scale in key audiences and retargeting pools. So that's something that we're watching for and trying to manage for. The next, although this was temporary, we did see a spike for about a year in CPMs as the industry adjusted to those changes. But this was really most evident in our lower funnel strategies. So we might expect some CPM changes as well, and that's something we're going to be watching very closely throughout this year. And the third, which I think is the one I'd like everyone to kind of focus the most on, is we're going to see product changes from key partners like Meta and Google and others. And really, it's going to be pushed to go broader in your targeting. And when I say go broader, I don't mean just target everyone. It's more giving more flexibility, more room in your schedule to allow AI to step in and find audiences at an efficient rate. And so we've seen this, we've kind of, when we've tried to micro-target, we've seen performance fight back and some suffering. And so it's the idea that we might need to kind of continue to test these new AI solutions, and we are seeing strong performance. And the examples here are Meta's new suite of tools that are called Advantage Plus. Google launched Performance Max, and I would expect more products in this realm to be coming out. And so this is an area for us to begin to test some of these new AIs, new algorithms to find the right audiences at efficient rate and balancing precision and broad targeting for the ultimate, goal of performance. And the third key thing in privacy world is going to be that our future is modeled, and we're all going to have to get much more comfortable with it. The good news is that our measurement today is not lost. It's just going to be changing. And so there's certain measurement strategies that will remain really unaffected. And this will be things like brand lift, search lift, and experiments, which is kind of A/B testing. So really unimpacted. This middle column is talking about the things that we use very often that we will see changes to, but they are not gone. They're going to be pushing to models and kind of looking a little different than what we've done today, but they're not all is lost, which is great news. So this is areas like frequency reporting, unique reach and cross-channel reach. And then I think the one that everyone's eyes are most closely on is conversions, which I will talk in just a moment. But the other one that we are still unsure of the future, and as of right now, there's no immediate solution, is that temporarily, and maybe longer than that, data-driven attribution will be kind of a temporary lost cause. And this is going to make multi-touch attribution and following the customer journey nearly impossible before other technology solutions can step in and kind of help toward that. So this is the area that we will kind of be dark for at least the time being. And so coming back to conversions, and this is something that everyone on this line, you're going to hear us talking about in the next few months, and you've already heard us talking a lot of it from the Meta standpoint, is that Google and Meta have released conversion API solutions that reduce signal loss in measurement of key conversions that are connected to your ad campaigns. And so to remind everyone, with these signal loss, it does not mean that the conversions are not happening. It means it's going to get harder to connect the end conversion, that end business outcome, with the media campaign that drove it. And so being able to, from marketers, being able to kind of connect our efforts to our outcomes. So solutions like Conversion API is one of those solutions that would help us kind of fill in the gaps for about a 5 to 10% increase in conversion activity. And so this is an area that we would highly recommend for clients that have data-driven conversions on their website. And what I mean by that is going to be lead collection, sales, email signups. So something that is connected to an email address or other identifier, so they can connect those end conversions to your ad campaign, even if we have some signal loss between. And so the key benefits for clients to consider implementing this is going to be your improved attribution. It is a secure connection if it's a server-to-server connection. And the last is this is a cookieless solution, so it is privacy forward. All right, and I know that was a lot, but the key action items that you want to consider in the privacy realm right now is you as an advertiser should proactively get your data cleaned, structured, and compliant, because first-party data and be able to leverage that data is an important strategy moving forward. But we also would recommend consulting legal counsel on how state laws may impact your business and how you're able to use and leverage that first-party data. The next is to improve performance, consider broader targeting and AI product solutions. You will be hearing from us on that this year. That's something we are going to push into test. I didn't talk about it today, as we've talked about it every year, but continue to test durable targeting solutions that are cookieless, such as your first-party data, your second-party walled garden audiences, so Meta, Google, and Amazon. You'll hear more about Amazon later today. Third-party alternatives like UID2 with the Trade Desk and contextual strategies. And the last one is to work on implementing conversion API solutions with Meta's CAPI Gateway and Google's enhanced conversions to increase measurement of conversion signals by about 5 to 10%. Another action could be considering other measurement alternatives, like some newer things like attention metrics, which you're going to hear next from Jesse.